Hello and welcome to week three. Week three is going to consist of two exercises. One is called Simple Properties exercise, which is going to be this exercise right here. And the second exercise is going to be what's called frame by frame animation. These are two very distinct and different ways of animating. The Simple Properties exercise is going to introduce a new topic, a couple new topics. One is the properties window, which is over here. Often, whenever you're working, you'll have your properties and your library tabs sort of up here on the right-hand side. And we're going to start talking about layers as well. Last week when we did the simple tweens, we were basically just working with layer one. We're going to introduce the idea of multiple layers so that we can sort of control very distinct things about those layers while making some animations. So let's start with this simple properties exercise. First thing we're going to do, and this one's sort of split up into little bite-sized pieces, three pieces, one making a graphic, then creating the tween, and then creating basically a few more graphics and tweens. So this first section is making the red square graphic, pretty straightforward, and you'll probably see where this is going in relation to our green ball or whatever the tweens were last week. So we're opening Flash, create ActionScript 3.0. And step 4, it says double click on the layer in the timeline and name it red square. So what this is doing is sort of setting up this idea that we need to organize. We need to organize right off the bat. You guys are going to get into some movies later in the semester where you're going to have multiple layers, multiple things from the libraries, all sorts of things going on, and we really want to make sure we sort of start off on the right foot in terms of organization. So I'm going to go over here and I just double click on that layer 1 and I'm going to call this red square. Okay. So step 5 at the top, we're going to go to insert new symbol, which we've done before, and it says name the symbol red square. So we have the layer red square, and now we're going to have the symbol. This needs to be a graphic. Remember, we sort of talked about this last week, these different types of symbols. The graphic being the most simple of these symbols, so I'm going to choose graphic. And I'm going to click OK. Now, I pop over into the library. Remember, we have our scene, and then when we're sort of in this never-ending white space, that sort of represents that we are in the library. Now, it says choose the rectangular tool in the toolbox. And then we want to fill and stroke color. So I'm going to choose a red there. And I'm going to choose, remember, we want no stroke color. These are our fill and stroke colors. And we simply want a very simple red there. Now, it says click and hold down a square. And like a lot of things in Photoshop and Illustrator and lots of places, if we hold down Shift, and you probably hear my Shift, when I draw this, you'll see that I can't make a rectangle. If I let go of Shift, I can make all sorts of shapes there. But I want to hold down Shift, and I want to make a simple red square. Okay, I'm going to get my black selection tool here, and I'm just going to position this right in the center. Okay, so simple enough. That's steps 1 through 10. That's making the red square graphic. Okay. Next thing we need to do is create, and we're sort of at the second part here, create the tween with a rotation. This is where we're adding a particular properties to the red square. Okay, so I'm going to click on scene 1. So I'm going to come out of the library. All right, so I click on scene 1. And it says take the graphic from the library called red square and drop it down on the stage bottom left. So this is similar to what we did last week with our green circle or green ball. So I'm going to put this in the bottom left. Okay. Now, just like last week, it says move up to frame 60 in the timeline, and this time it says control click on that frame. Last week I went to insert timeline frame. If we control click, and this is a Mac thing, it might be different on a PC, so if you're on a PC, let us know what that is. So I'm going to control click, and you'll see when I control click I get all these options that I got similar options as to sort of going to the insert timeline. It's just a quicker way to sort of be working in the timeline instead of sort of going up to the menu. So I'm going to control click, and hold on that frame. It says a menu will appear, and we're going to choose Insert Frame. Okay. Now, it says choose any frame between 1 and 60. This is the motion tween. Okay. And we're also going to control click there. Okay. And I'm going to create a motion tween. Okay. Now, click on frame 60. This should be sort of review, basically. It says with the selection tool, the black arrow, grab the red square and move it to the top right of the stage. Okay, so this is our simple motion tween, and we're going to see this sort of happen. Okay. Now, the difference here, and this is steps 22 and 23, is that we're going to basically add what's called a property to this, and we're going to add a rotation property to this. Okay. And what this means is we're basically stating, remember this idea that we went over in the Flash Basics, we're stating that right here, the square is there, right here is the square is there, and in this case we're going to sort of state that we want this thing to have rotated, and I think, let's see here what it says, rotating three times. So I'm going to choose the Properties tab, which is over here. If you don't see this, someone asked where the library, they couldn't find their library. You should see under Window here your Properties and Library, and they are often defaulted in the Classic workspace. These are your very common libraries that you're going to be working with. We're going to go to Properties, okay? And under rotation it says choose 3 times. So I can click on this and I can just type in 3. Okay. Now what that does is it applies that rotation to this tween basically. So you'll see that as I move forward it rotates 3 times. Okay. That can be changed, it can be altered, obviously to sort of fit your desire. You'll also see that under direction we have clockwise and counterclockwise. Okay. Later we're going to work with this orient to path. You can sort of have it move along a particular path. Okay. Now, steps 24 basically through let's see here, 27 are basically doing this again. So don't skip these steps. What I want you to do is basically create a purple square and a green square, and you're going to insert two separate layers and 2 symbols, graphic symbols that sort of correspond with this. And you're basically going to repeat these steps with your purple square and your green square. Okay, so I want these to sort of happen over the same amount of time via different layers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually stop my video briefly, and I'm going to sort of pick up with these purple and green squares basically where I want you to have them, and we'll sort of take a look at the SWF after that. Okay, I'm back here. I've created, just so you can see, I've created, and I'll go into my library, I have a green square, I have my purple square, and I have a red square. Okay, a little hint here, since I had a symbol that was a red square, you can go up inside your library, and this has a little drop-down menu up here, and you can actually duplicate that symbol and just change the color if you wanted to sort of keep the same size and sort of quickly create something that was consistent with what you just created. So that's what I did. I now have 3 symbols, just basically different colors. Now, as steps 24, 25 state, we also have 3 new layers. So this is where my purple symbol goes, that's where the tween goes, and this is where my green square goes. Okay, you'll see that these rotate, and I want you to notice something right here, and I'll sort of stop it right here. The layers are sort of a hierarchy, meaning that you'll see that the green square is up here. It is on top in the layers window, and it's also on top right here. Okay, the purple square, though we can't necessarily see it, maybe we can see it right there, kind of. The purple square is on top of the red square. If I wanted to change any of this, you could sort of just simply pull, and you'll see that the hierarchy changes. Okay, so I want you to sort of remember that notion when we get to more complicated tweens, that these layers are basically laid out in a way that makes sense. Purple is now on top of red, red is on top of green. Later we're going to get into some other relationships between layers that can create some more interesting visuals. So last thing you're going to do, you're going to save as, I've already done this, your first name, last name, underscore simple properties. It's very important you guys keep these naming conventions that I have sort of stated on these. Makes grading, taking a look at things quite easy. So last thing you're going to do is save this, and there you go. So there's your simple properties. We sort of introduced, just to review, we introduced layers here, and we introduced properties, and in this case rotation. We're going to deal with sort of other properties later, but using simple tweens just as we did last week, but definitely introducing something totally different here. So that's it for simple properties. Next thing you're going to do is what's called a frame-by-frame animation, and it is a completely different way of animating. So I will see you there.